Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be talking about a really significant coin in U.S. coin history, the 1893 Isabella Commemorative Quarter. It was minted in some interesting context. The first woman to appear on a U.S. coin that was not sort of an embodiment of liberty or, the first actual woman. There's a lot more than that. We'll go through the history, context in which it was made, the values, and sort of the story of this coin. So let's get right into it. So here we've got the coin and a lot of the obvious facts about it. There's a lot more to unpack there. So the coin was struck by the Board of Lady Managers. They were sort of involved at the World's Fair, the Chicago World's Fair, or the exposition that was in Chicago that year. You see Board of Lady Managers on the back. And then the Columbian Cordal, it gives reference because it's the 400th anniversary of 1492. So the Columbian half dollar with Columbus had been issued in 1892 and then again in 1893. But this one, the Board of Lady Managers wanted their own coin, and they sought to feature women. And then also have a woman designer, but as you can see, Charles E. Barber ends up engraving the coin. Initially, they'd commissioned somebody named Caroline Peddle, who had studied under Gaudens, who had done the St. Gaudens $20, famous double eagle. She had studied under him. He recommended her, and she gave a few designs, but there was a lot of back and forth saying, this isn't really proper, and they wanted different reverses, and they're going to have her just do one part of the coin, and there were a lot of demands coming in, and there was a short and imposing deadline, so Caroline Peddle walks away from the project. Charles Barber comes in and does it himself. The coin, again, features Queen Isabella of Spain. She financed Christopher Columbus, so that's her connection to the Columbian Exposition. Would not have been possible without her. And she's significant in history because she marries King Ferdinand II. He and her sort of unify Spain. They start the Reconquista that drove Muslims and Jews out of Spain and sort of reunited a lot of the different parts of Spain into what it is today. So they're potentially controversial figures, but we're certainly behind the big backing of Christopher Columbus's expedition. She also really reduced the crime rate in Spain, which was awesome. And then she paid down a lot of an inherited large national debt. So she was viewed, especially in Spain, as a very prominent and successful ruler. The back of the coin is an American woman, and that is with a distaff and spindle involved in the spinning, and that just sort of shows the industry of the American woman. So how they have contributed for a long time, even back then, to the American industry, often behind the scenes. But this sort of brings that to the forefront. The coins, they were minted at a quantity of 40,023. Those 23, I believe, for assays, just to be sort of examined for quality. But many of them are melted. They sell for $1 each at the exposition, but they didn't have quite as good distribution. And, understandably, people said this is a really bad deal. There were the half dollars that were for sale for $1, or you could buy a quarter for $1. And back then, $1 was a pretty large amount. So people sort of poured into these half dollar commemoratives and really overlooked the 1893 quarter in the process. There were a lot more half dollars that would go on to be made. This is the only commemorative quarter, and it's way more rare in terms of the mintage figures compared to that half dollar. So there was long-term a much better value proposition. They saved coins number 1, 400, 1492, and 1892, and have special documentation. I was unable to find the details on those, but people basically thought that these weren't really the coins to be paying up for. They come really well struck, great luster. There were 103 of them that were struck in proofs, but I'll first talk about the values here. So the Columbus half dollars, those today are selling for like $20, $25 in uncirculated condition. Maybe there's a little bit of a value increase. These have been a much better investment. They certainly worked out well for many of the Board of Lady Managers members, as they were able to purchase 10,000 of them for face value. As the others were melted, they held on to them and sold them often in the early 1900s, but were able to get some nice premiums out of those. But in XF40, pretty worn, they're worth $225. But if they're well preserved, sort of mint state 63, you hit $400, and that jumps 700, 1,000, 2,500 for mint state 66. But there's really nice examples surviving in the 67, 68, even up to 68 plus, which is a $70,000 coin. So a lot more upside compared to those Columbus half dollars. And then here we've got the proofs. A proof 65 sold for $50,000 in a PCGS holder. There's a good amount certified by NGC that are a lot less expensive or seem to sell for far lower amounts, but with PCGS, that seems to be really the place to go to realize a lot of money on your Isabella quarters. There's not a ton of documentation as to how the mintage of 103 is arrived at, or which ones were the proofs and which were not. There's not official records, but it's still a very valuable coin to be on the lookout for, any of these. And I think that, it would make my list of like pretty significant US coins to own in a collection. Just a really, really cool coin. So that pretty much brings us to the end of today, but I've been enjoying going back and learning a lot more about these commemoratives. And again, the only commemorative quarter, pretty cool part of numismatic history. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretown.yt.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.